the white noise generator.
My name is David Limbaushu. I'm unwell. I need help. I need help. I just wanted to meet you. I'm unwell.
David, say a prayer for me.
Yes, sir. Father, we thank you for David. We pray for healing for him, salvation for him, restoration for him. God, right now, just come into his life. Let him know that he's valuable to you. Lord, I pray that in this moment that you would just begin to work in his spirit. Lord, let him know that we're for him. We're not against him. That God, that he just can find healing. Thanks that he's here. That you put him here in this moment. We pray this in your name. Amen. Hey, let's pray for David. Come on.
Hey,
put your hands towards him.
David,
Hold on.
say a prayer for me.
Yes, sir. Father, we thank you for David.
People are so afraid to just hear someone out. Or why drown out? Try to white noise maybe a thought that you might disagree with, but certainly you don't need to be disrespectful. You're such a champion for freedom of speech because you believe there are things to be said that can really affect someone's life in a positive way.
Well, one of the things that it's necessary to understand is that inside the philosophical confines of the postmodernist movement, as it manifests itself in universities currently, is that it's very, very important to understand this, because otherwise you don't know what you're facing. There is no debate about free speech, because for the postmodernists, especially the ones that have a Marxist leaning, there is no such thing as free speech. Because you see, in order for there to be free speech, there have to be sovereign individuals, not mere members of a group. And in the postmodernist world, there are no sovereign individuals. That's a Judeo-Christian, oppressive, Western, patriarchal, arbitrary presupposition. It's your group identity that's primary and paramount. You don't have ideas and thoughts. You have what you've been socially conditioned to believe. And the exchange of ideas is nothing but a power game that's played between groups of people who are opposing each other for predominance on the world stage. That's it. And so it's not a debate about the value of free speech. That's a trivial debate in some sense. It's a debate about whether free speech itself actually constitutes a genuine phenomenon. And classically speaking, what we presume is that each of us are sources of information, let's say. That might be our opinions, it might be our knowledge. And that through honest discourse, through truth, essentially, we can negotiate an agreement that will be, if not to our mutual benefit, which would be optimal, at least capable of establishing something approximating peace. And all of that idea, all of those ideas are under, I would say, serious assault by the postmodernist types in the modern universities. And so the reason that I was shut down at that free speech protest, let's say, which, by the way, was an open mic event. All those people that were there who were trying to shut me down had the opportunity to speak after I spoke. And the noise you heard was a white noise generator, which was far louder than appeared on the video. And the reason that I was speaking forcefully, let's say, or perhaps even somewhat angrily by the end, was because not only was the white noise generator.
My name is David Limbaushu. I'm unwell. I need help. I need help. I just wanted to meet you. I'm unwell. I called on you.
I hope that you
Get up there.
I want to be up there. Find the help that you need.
Oh my God, I want to know him better.
Hey, Chance, David, say a prayer for me.
Yes, sir. Father, we thank you for the healing for him, salvation for him, restoration for him. God, right now, just come into his life. Let him know that he's valuable to you. Lord, I pray that in this moment that you would just begin to work in his spirit. Lord, let him know that we're for him. We're not against him. That God, that he just can find healing. Thanks that he's here. That you put him here in this moment. We pray this in your name. Amen. Hey, let's pray for David. Come on, put your hands towards him.
David,
Hold on.
say a prayer for him.
Yes, sir. Father, we thank you for David.
You've got exams from professors like Gary Habermas here to face, and we just have to remember that, David. You know, we're older, we're set in life, and these guys are just coming up, and so you guys will all be in our prayers too.
Let me tell you something. I think what you just saw is where a lot of you are, but David's just honest enough to cry for help. And some of you are at a place, and this is I think why your book has connected with people. You're at a place where you're just looking for answers. No one ever taught you basic principles of life, basic survival skills. No one ever told you to make your bed or to show up and listen and learn. And then the dam breaks. And in those moments, I'd rather you be here in this context and in this community, because I can tell you from our community group leaders to our RAs to our RSs and to every student here that we think God has you here for more than just an education, but for community. And hold on, don't clap, hold on. I don't want us to alleviate what God's saying in this moment. And I'll be the first to tell you in front of our distinguished guests that these rules work, but all of them stop short without the ruler, without Christ in your life. And we are here for that. We're here for you. I'm so glad that happened, because I think it just elevates.
David.
Pardon me?
It was a little hard on David.
No, not at all. Why do you think men like that, and so many of us, are just crying out for help finally? Obviously, you just see this visible manifestation, like that's not conjured up, that's real. Why do you think that?
Well, it's so obvious why people are in, like, for me as a clinical psychologist, I've always looked at things, I think, in some ways from the opposite perspective of most, and maybe even most psychologists. It's never been a mystery to me why people are depressed. It's never been a mystery to me why people are anxious and unsettled. It seems obvious why they're concerned and hurt and anxious and unsettled. I think the mystery is how it is that we can conduct ourselves so that that can remain under control. I mean, people deal with very heavy burdens in their life. You know, you don't have to talk to someone for very long. Someone you might be thinking is doing quite well in the world, and sometimes people are. But you don't have to scratch very deep beneath the surface before you find out that they have a family member who has a serious illness, or someone who's suffering through an economic crisis of one form or another, or who there's some source of genuine tragedy 1 degree removed from them, if it's even removed. And most people, even as individuals, have at least one serious problem that they're dealing with. And so it's no mystery that people find it difficult to orient themselves in the world. And the mystery is, well, what can you do about it? And we do know what you can do about it. And you know, Jonathan Haidt wrote a book recently. Now, I'm afraid that it's the name of the book has escaped me. It's about the college situation and the snowflake culture. And one of the things that he pointed out, along with Luginov, who's his co-author, was that if you're a psychotherapist of any sort, particularly a behavior therapist, what you help people do is to identify their problems. That's the first thing, is to confront what's there, the reality of what's there, as bluntly as possible. And so you often end up as a psychotherapist talking to people about their array of problems. It's as if they're putting their cards on the table. and you sort out their problems. It's like, and no, they often decide that many of the things that are bothering them are not really that important. They can wait, but that there are crucial life challenges that present themselves to them. And they're not just psychological problems, although sometimes they are. They're problems in life, right? Existential problems. And then what you do is you help people break them down into manageable units, let's say, strategically, and confront them voluntarily. You know, and there's an echo of that idea. There's an echo of that in Christian thinking, and the echo for that is to pick up your cross voluntarily, which is that you have an unavoidable mortal burden to bear in life. There's no escape from it except to directly confront it and to take it on voluntarily. And what's so fascinating about that, two things. One is that psychotherapists of every stripe understand that this is one of the primary reasons that psychotherapy works. There's no dispute about that among all the different psychotherapeutic schools, is that the confrontation of existential problems, voluntary confrontation, is curative. And that's really something. And so, and the practical aspect of that is quite straightforward. It also indicates, practical and philosophical, it also indicates to you that there's far more to you than you think, because it turns out that you have substantial problems, genuine, deep problems of malevolence and suffering, but that if you decide that you will take that on as your responsibility, that you can put yourself together psychologically, just the courage, and you can actually solve the problems. And that seems to be true. It's not a naive wish. It seems to be well within our capacity. And I mean, that's part of the message, I would say, of 12 Rules for Life, is that dark as things are, there's more light in you than you know what to do with, and there's more light in you than you can possibly manifest. And the way to find that out is to challenge yourself against these white noise generator.
My name is David Linbauschu. I'm unwell. I need help. I need help. I just wanted to meet you. I'm unwell. I called on.
I hope that you
I want to be well.
find the help that you need.
Oh my God, I want to know him better.